Hello, welcome to the Inner Sanctum. Karen Swain here. I sent out an email on my newsletter recently asking you for your burning questions. And I've got my lovely assistant Kate here to help me. She's got a whole lot of questions in front of her that she's going to read out, and I'll repeat them. I'll repeat them so that you can hear what they are. And I'm going to answer a few questions so you know the sorts of things that people ask and what happens within the inner sanctum. So, Kate, what's the first question?
So firstly, Karen, what do you do as a spiritual healer?
So the first question we've got is, Karen, what do you do as a spiritual healer? And what I would say to that is I don't call myself healer anymore. I used to call myself healer because I did a lot of spiritual healing or energetic healing courses, and we were channeling a lot of energy and putting it into bodies and looking inside the body, which is called medical intuition. So I was teaching people how to look inside their body, look inside the bodies of others and scan the body energetically and look for blocks and places that need healing. But what I do these days is I still scan people all the time. It's more of an unconscious or subconscious thing than it is a conscious thing. And I speak to their energetic blocks from a perspective of an idea or a thought form or a belief. So any block we have in our energy field comes from an idea or a belief, or buying into a paradigm, even if that's buying into the idea that you have a genetic illness that has been, like my grandmother was a diabetic, for instance. Oh, my grandmother's a diabetic, therefore I've got, I'm going to be a diabetic. So this is a belief that we can hold. And I look for where there's energy blocks within the system, so ideas about yourself that would manifest that. So, and I teach you how to get over those beliefs or how to raise your vibration so that you can hold a belief system or a belief structure that doesn't allow genetic disposition to disease, for instance, to manifest in the body. Because epigenetics science has discovered that even though you can carry all this genetic predisposition to disease, you don't necessarily have to manifest it because it depends on the vibration of your body. So when you're a grumpy, angry, resentful person, and you have a predisposition to things like diabetes or heart disease or obesity or anything like that, you'll probably manifest it because the vibration of your disposition, so your thoughts, your beliefs, and how you feel, is in alignment with the vibration of the disease. And so you can easily manifest the disease. But if you raise your vibration, you love your life, you feel healthy, you think healthy thoughts, you think that what you do with your life is healthy, the foods that you choose, the exercises that you do, the lifestyle you choose, and you feel good, you'll most likely not manifest your genetic predisposition to disease. So as a teacher, I teach you about this as opposed to now channeling energy into your body.
So
next question.
In regards to the energy, where does that energy originally come from? How do we get that energy?
Great question. So in regards to the energy, where does the energy originally come from? Where do we get that energy? So you're talking about healing energy, or they're talking about healing energy?
Well, you were talking about the energy that manifests from people and you being able to feel that energy.
Okay, so the energy that we are, where does the energy that we are come from? So the energy that we are comes from our source or our soul or our spirit, life force energy. It's energy. When you look at a corpse, no energy. Live person, lots of energy. Some people have called it chi or prana. It's all energy in differing vibrations that we are molding with our thoughts. We're molding the energy of life, the energy within us and the energy without us. So a high vibrational thought like, I love my life and I love you and life is fantastic and I love everything, that is going to hold a different vibration than an angry or sad or depressed thought. Depending on how you feel, your feelings, your emotion is your feedback system as to the vibration that you're holding, the energy in your body. So when you're feeling sad, that's a feedback that the vibration you're holding is depressed or suppressed. It's not flowing strongly or fast. Just think about it. I remember discovering this when I was a young girl in the gym, thinking about all this stuff. And I was on a treadmill thinking, I hate this treadmill. I hate exercise. I feel the same way today, but anyway. And then a handsome man walked past, young man who I fancied. And I had this sort of thought of, oh, I really fancy him. And in that thought, the energy that surged through my body was incredible. And I actually had more energy to sort of run on this treadmill because I had this delicious thought like, oh, isn't he gorgeous? I just think he's gorgeous. And I noticed how shifting a thought shifted the energy within my body. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. You talked about scanning people. When did you realise that you had the ability to be able to scan someone?
Well, that's a good question. You talked about scanning people. When did you realise you had the ability to scan someone? Here's the thing. I always say this about any ability that I have. We all have that ability, and much of the abilities that we have are at a subconscious level. We scan people all the time energetically. You know how you feel about someone the moment you set eyes on them. You might think that you like the way they look or you don't like the way they look. You might put it in a way that I just like the look of him, or I thought he was handsome, I thought she was pretty, or something like that. But really, we are energy beings in a vibrational universe, and energy meets energy, and we're all communicating energetically with each other all the time. And as two energies collide and meet each other, we have different levels of energy within our being. But as two, like, you know, when someone steps into your personal space, it almost feels like they're too close or they're hugging you. Different people have different levels of personal space. They say people in the cities, personal space is smaller than people that live in the country. Their personal space is more expanded. That space around you that you feel is yours is like connected to you, your body, you personally. And so that energy around you meets another energy, and you're scanning that energetically all the time. As a healer or a teacher or an energy worker, we're taught to be more deliberate with that. So to pay attention to how we're doing that. And you can do it with how you feel. You can be deliberate with how you feel with someone's energy, or you can be deliberate with what you're sensing, what you're hearing, what thoughts are coming to you as you're in someone's space. Or you can do it with your inner eye. You can scan people with your eyes, your outside eyes, and with your inner knowing, you know what's going on. Sometimes I'll look at somebody and I'll see lights in certain parts of their bodies, darkness, bright light, and that'll show me where energy is blocked or energy is shining. Sometimes I'll see lights around them. That'll show me who's around them, guides, dead relatives, angels, how many. I was at a friend's place yesterday. She's a counsellor, has been a counsellor for 25 years and a healer and a teacher, but she's very mainstream. She had masses of angels around her. It was just gorgeous, gold lights around her, white lights and gold lights. So often people that work helping people have a lot of non-physical energy or guides or angels that hang out in their energy field and help them. Does that answer the question?
It does, and it's a perfect segue into the next question, which, so there's two questions. First of all, who are your guides? Mm-hmm. And secondly, what does a guide do for you?
Okay, two questions she asked. Who are my guides? And the second question was, what does a guide do for me personally or for anybody?
Well, for you, because you use your guides to then inform you about another person.
Yeah. So my guides, how do I use my guides? Okay, so as we move through this, so nobody comes into this physical life experience alone. As Lorna, if you watched my interview with Lorna Byrne, the angel lady who has the ability to see with her outside eyes, with her physical eyes, spirit and angels around everybody, as real as you're looking at me on this screen, or as real as I can see Kate sitting over here on the chair, she has the ability to see spirit and angels that way. So everyone comes in with their guardian angel and some guides that are speaking to them through their feelings and emotions or through their thoughts all their life. Whether you're aware of that or not, it's happening to everyone. So when I was a young girl, I just called it my common sense. I would have a question. Like I would read people's energy field. I found it very confusing when someone came at me with a smiley face and was saying everything was okay, and I felt that within them it wasn't. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand how I knew that or how I was sensing it, but I was caught out as a liar a lot of the time when I revealed people's inner truth and they didn't want to reveal that to the outer truth. Like, you're wrong, I don't feel like that at all. But I forgot the question, guide. So what are they? So I was being taught all the time. I was an intensely curious person, asking my mother a lot of questions, my father a lot of questions, and I had answers happening in my head like someone was talking to me. I just called it my common sense. But as I awoke to the reality of guides or angels around us teaching us all the time, I started directly talking to them. Most of the time it's a nebulous blob of energy, because now I do so much teaching and talk to so many people and contact so many people. I've got a whole group of beings. They're not all going to introduce themselves to me individually. They just talk, I listen, and I don't need to give them identities or names, because I just know that by the way I feel when I'm getting the information, if it's right or not. A lot of people talk about having negative voices in their head. You know, when source energy or God or angels or higher dimensional beings are talking to you, by the way you feel, because they come from a source of pure positive energy. They come from love. So when you're receiving information or thoughts in your mind that you need to relay to somebody, you'll know that it's the right information for that person and the right information for you by the way it feels. It feels right. It feels on point. It feels positive. It feels loving. It feels like you're making a difference to that person. There's a feeling that you get. And if you have a thought that doesn't feel good, it's telling someone to do something or you to do something and it doesn't feel good, you know that's just a negative belief system that you don't need to listen to. So you have this emotional feedback system that guides you all the time with your guides and what to believe and to do for yourself and what guidance to give others.
So do you think then that you could teach other people to be able to channel into their guides?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Do I teach other people how to channel into their guides? Absolutely. It's part of the work I've been doing for years. I first started doing that through the theta healing. Diana Steibel brought through we called it Orion healing in those days, about 15 years ago. She's an American woman that came out to Australia teaching these healing or energetic healing courses, and she called it theta healing or Orion healing. And that's exactly what we did. We would get in contact with our guides and expand the knowingness of that. One of the exercises we did in the theta healing years ago, I know it's probably changed a lot now, was we had a row of chairs back to back and we were blindfolded and someone sat in the chair and we had to give them a reading. I loved that exercise. It was a great exercise. And then the person could turn around and say, "No, you're absolutely wrong. You got it completely wrong. You're just making it all up." Or somebody could say, "Yeah, you're spot on." So that was a great way. Like, there's a lot of people out there now teaching you how to tune into your guidance, because we do have active imaginations and sometimes it's just our imagination making stuff up. And I often think, God, I'm just making all this up. I'm just making all this up. I'm just making all this up. But I guess I know by the affirmative about the way I feel and how the person feels when they receive the information as well.
When you read someone, what are you actually doing? So what methodologies are you employing in order to read someone?
Ooh, that's such a good question. These are great questions. Good questions. So the question is, when you read someone, what is the methodology that you're employing to do that? What are you actually doing when you read someone? Let me see if I can. So today, the way I read people is I just listen to my guidance. Someone sits down before me in a session, for instance, and starts talking. I listen to what they're saying somewhat. I get a gist of the story. I get a gist of where they're going. But what I hear when they talk is what they believe. I don't really listen to the story itself. I listen to what they believe. And as I listen to what they believe, I I start asking questions. And as I ask questions, I get guidance. And often what I do with my clients, and I do this in sometimes socially too, which is sort of a bit of a no-no, I sort of shut people off. Because when they get on a momentum of negative thinking, they start to relay their sad and sorry story. They start to lower their vibration. And my job as a teacher is to help them raise their vibration. So I often cut people off from telling me their sad and sorry story. We look at the beliefs behind what has manifested it, why they're reacting or responding that way. Say they're having a fight with a lover or a partner or a husband and a wife, and they're angry and resentful and upset. We look at why they're angry and resentful and upset. Because here's the thing, we don't want to change the lover or the partner or a person outside of ourselves. They're on their journey. They're buying into the beliefs they hold. We want to change the beliefs within us that have us responding or reacting in a way that doesn't feel good to us. It never feels good to hate anybody, especially the people we love, like our family, our lovers, our friends, the people close to us. Some people just love to hate the nasty politician or whatever. It doesn't even feel good to hate them. Look, hate is just not a high vibrational energy or thought. And if you're a light worker on this planet and you're here to be of benefit and make a difference in the lives of others, hating anybody is not going to do that. So we look at the beliefs that have you resenting and hating and holding on to low vibrational energy and thoughts. And we turn those around so that you can be more in alignment with your source or your guides that are speaking to you all the time. I don't really need to do any of this because you have your guides talking to you constantly. Call it your common sense, call it your inner being, call it God talking to you, call it the angels talking to you. They're all there talking to you, but are we listening? Sometimes it's just easier when there's a physical blob outside of yourself relaying those same messages, because you've got something relatable that you can talk to a person. And I need that just as much as everybody else. Even though I've got this mob yakking in my ears the whole time, I love to have some physical being outside myself that I can talk to. And I think a lot of us who go to readers, we already know what we want and where we want to go. We just want reassurance that we can have it. And when you go to a reader and she tells your future, or she tells you something about who you are and what you're capable of, you really just get this affirmative thoughts, and you go, yeah, I know that. Like, I know that's possible for me. I don't believe it, but I know it. So it's just having that reassurance that you are amazing and you can create anything you want to create.
I have a question based on what you've just said. If a person is suffering, for example, depression, they've been diagnosed with clinical depression, for example, and that's to do with hormone balances and all those sorts of things in their lives, or possibly something that's going on in their lives, how can you then say to them, it's about positive energy?
So the question is, if a person's suffering clinical depression, say their hormones are out of balance and they're on medication or they're institutionalized, how can you then say it's all about positive energy? Here's the thing, you can't. And people that are suffering clinical depression don't come to me or people like me. They go to doctors, they go to therapists, and I believe that any form of medical drug use is great in helping you raise your vibration. I've actually had a lot of clients that have been on antidepressants because they just felt like they couldn't tackle their negative thoughts and they needed help in overcoming them. And once you're in a better feeling place, you're actually you're more at cause, you're more at power to be able to learn how to shift your thinking. So, yeah, the question to that is, it's really about vibrational matching. What I teach, usually I attract the difference. I call them the difference makers, the light workers, the teachers, the people that are turned in, tapped in, tuned in to their source, to their inner being, to their higher self. They know they're here to make a difference. They know they're here to spread light on the planet, and they really want to know how to ramp that up, how to ramp that up, how to do it better, how to tap into their abilities of insight and awareness, how to expand their consciousness and expand their awareness. They're people with questions who are seeking answers. They're the people that I attract. They're usually not the clinically depressed, although I have had a lot of clients who have been on antidepressants.
Okay, you talk about attraction. Can you tell me about the law of attraction what in terms of what it means to you and your work?
So this question is, what is the law of attraction? Tell me about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is an energy, a rule, a law to life, much like gravity is. We've all heard this in many of the law of attraction books that we've read, or if you've watched The Secret, which says that unto itself is drawn. So it's like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. It is a law. Let's just call it law. It governs in all universes, dimensions. It is the governing body that scientists have recognized as strong and weak, what do they call it, pull, where atoms actually come together and stay together. You look at a computer that we're looking at, you look at a human body, it's all just energy and information that vibrates, but why are there clumps of energy and information sticking together? There is a law which is called attraction. So energy attracts energy, but it has to have an imprint or a similar vibration to do so. So we perceive with our 5 physical senses. Most of us perceive, some of us perceive with more of them. Actually, all of us do, but most of us are aware of the 5 physical senses, which is very limited on the spectrum of what's available, like the seeing sense. The spectrum of light is massive, but we have a very limited ability to see on that spectrum of light. So energy we see as physical clumps called tables and bodies and chairs and lamps and things like that. But there is energy beyond that we don't see with our physical eyes, called radio waves, television waves, computer, iPhones, Imagine, like, we're aware of it, but we don't see it with our physical eyes. So the whole universe is just a vibrating energy. It's just this huge, massive ball of vibrating energy and information. What makes it all work? How does it all work? Law of attraction. So when you think a thought, it was interesting, when I studied as a naturopath years ago in my early 20s, there was much information about how the body worked. But scientists then, I think scientists are getting a little bit more of a clue now, but then didn't understand where a thought came from. Like, where does a thought come from? It's actually not a physical structure in your body. Where does a thought come from? Where does it come from? So thought holds vibration, and vibration attracts. And when you have a thought, you know the quality of the vibration by how you feel. So when you feel high and energized and happy and loving and connected and blissed out and ecstatic, you know that you're tuning into a positive or a high or a fast-moving vibration, because the better you feel, the faster things move, which is really interesting. Because when you want to manifest something, say you want to manifest something that you want or you like, the better you feel, the quicker that will come to you, because positive thought is faster moving energy. Negative thought is slower moving energy. Just think about when you're depressed or overworked or frustrated, how tired you feel, and you feel slow. It's slower moving energy. So source energy is the energy that is the whole cosmos. It is a source of pure positive energy, and you allow source energy to manifest through you and into your life by the way you think and feel. The better you feel, the more source energy you have available to you. The worse you feel, the more you pinch that off, and the slower the energy moves. Did that answer the question?
Yeah. What do you think about fate?
What do I think about fate? Kate's firing these questions at me. Most of them are hers now. She's great. What do I think about fate? So we come in with a life plan as souls who are eternal, who fly around the cosmos doing all sorts of things in all sorts of places. Physical life's just one of them. When we come into a physical body, we have a life plan. We say, I'm going to be born to these parents. I'm going to be a female. We make some choices that are not changeable, although many try and change it. Transgender people come in as one sex and then they go, it doesn't feel right, want to be another sex. So there's a lot of leeway to the choices that we make, but we make choices. I'm going to be born in this country. Therefore, that country is, there's going to be some ideas about that country and my nationality and religion that are going to be imprinted on me. And along our physical trail, we put in a few benchmarks, like I'm going to marry that person or not marry that person, or I'm going to do this or that. But we have the ability, the cat over there, we have the ability to change that as we travel our physical trail. But there is a plan. We come in with a plan and we know we're on the right track in accordance to what we planned by the way life feels. As I said in another interview that I did, or another film that I did today, when you're in alignment with your life plan, things just happen effortlessly and easily. And sometimes you call those miracles, like, wow, it just opened up for me. It just happened. It was just effortless. That's when you know you're on your life plan. But when you're struggling to get something to happen and it's not happening, you can make that happen because ego overrides life plan and effort. But if it's an effort, it's really not what your soul's wanting out of this lifetime. You can manifest, you can be rich and famous and do all those things you want to do, but maybe your soul came in to be a healer. And maybe you do a naturopathic course and you find it really easy and people start employing you really effortlessly and you thought, I thought I was going to be a rock star, but this healing thing just seems to happen. So that's when you know. And so that's what some people call fate.
We're out of questions.
Finished.
I think I did pretty well considering I only had a few written down.
She did well. She only had a few written down. So that's what we're going to discuss. And I want more of your burning questions. That's what we talk about on the Inner Sanctum. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.